Sure, it was an intense couple of days for sure, but it was great. And really, we are at a point with our project where we've done a lot of the legwork in terms of forming the relationships with the partners of the institutions in the neighborhood, and looking at some of the technical aspects of a potential solar installation or several solar installations throughout the neighborhood on underutilized land. And we recognize that this solely could be just a business relationship, a business model, and we could do it without community engagement. But that would be contrary to one of our core missions as a community development corporation. As a community development corporation, we are here to serve the community. And what I learned over the past couple of days in terms of the community engagement piece, which is what I was really getting at, because I think the community engagement piece is really the hard part. The technical part is hard, but the community engagement piece is really hard.
The hardest.
The ownership around a niche technology like this. Yeah. And so I've learned that I can work with the Lindy Institute, and this may be I might be stepping into your next question about the next 6 months, but
we're about breaking down boundaries.
To really use data to start to think about where we are now as an organization, where we are now as a community, where do we want to get, which is what we've been doing the whole time as Community Development Corporation. We are the organization that in the neighborhood and the cultural institutions recognize this is why they come to us, that has built the respect of the residents. I mean, we're a resident-driven organization. My board of trustees is primarily residents. And we've built that trust, and we need to maintain and continue that trust. But we also need to think about where we are now, use data to do that, think about where we want to go, and how we can use this revenue model to get us there. What are specific things that we can address with the income that we're going to generate from this? Not only now, but down the road, because really what this is a sustainable form of income. We operate fine with foundation money right now. But when that foundation money goes away, what's going to keep us going? And what's going to really meet the goals of the community? And what's great about this revenue source is it's our revenue source. We've derived it. The community's derived it, and so we can decide what we're going to do with it. Foundation money is great, and we love foundation money, and we've been very lucky to get it. But it's restricted to what kind of the agreement is, what you're going to do with that money. Whereas this can really be a community-driven process around what are our priorities and what can we do with this money.
Community engagement becomes sort of the kernel, it sounds like, of where you take this project now.
Absolutely, and not only the piece about the data and where we are now, where we're going to go, but how do we approach our residents at their level? Bring this really big, grand idea to their level and capacitate the community around it, so that they really feel that this is their project.
Yeah, excellent.
And so,
So Priya, Chris is very much place-based. He's got a district that's connected to the park. There's anchor institutions. You're thinking of a system, right, that literally knows no boundaries. I mean, it's a model. It could be a template that's a national template. What did you learn these last couple of days? And then we'll pivot and think a little bit forward also.
Well, I mean, I learned a tremendous amount. One of the things that led me to really apply for the fellowship and just to try was the idea that really solutions are going to come from great minds that are outside of medicine. And I'm in the House of Medicine, and I've sort of been working in that construct, and really where great advancement will come is sort of bringing all those different perspectives. What I was, at times not so pleasantly, but overall now in retrospect, pleasantly surprised at realizing some of my limitations of I have a reality, and that reality is based in what I see every day in the emergency department. And a lot of the time of the last 2 days was just spent explaining that. And I think for, the way Jeremy describes lessons from the book, I feel like the emergency department is a microcosm of those same lessons. The system around has failed part of our community and some of our patients, and we are kind of a place in the midst of it that's easy. But when you're not one of those people, or you don't know that world, you may not completely understand it. And so what I had to learn was how to translate some of those individual stories to convey meaning and message. And that just taking those steps back then made me see here part of where we haven't been able to make these strides is because we are speaking different languages and we assume that the other person is seeing what we see.
Right.
And so that's a great lesson, and it's a great lesson to kind of, my whole process is to repurpose how we see the emergency department and how really it could be critical in any kind of community health and population health efforts. But the first step is really getting everybody to understand what the reality is compared to what the ideal and what the direction is.
Yeah.